All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to kick things off here in the Media Center. We are now joined by David Ragan, driver of the number 15 Select Blinds Ford for Rick Ware Racing. And I'll go ahead and open it up to questions. I'll start over here on the left.
Steve Conley, PRN. David, I want to go back to last year a little bit, but for COTA for next week. Wondering what it was like for you as your experience of. Wait, you didn't race a COTA last year.
Yep, I was getting ready to address that.
Let me actually, it's for something else earlier I was thinking about. So let me look ahead to this week and next week. When you address a new track, what are some of your mindsets that are going through that you have to go through personally before you even set foot in the race car?
Well, I think the biggest thing in preparing for a new racetrack or even a new surface like we have here at Atlanta Motor Speedway is just, prepping all you can. And I know that sounds funny because how can you prep before a new racetrack? But obviously, Circuit of the Americas, the technology is out of this world that drivers can go to a simulator that has, had a track scan that has the current race car they're racing modeled out, and they can make laps. And when they show up to COTA, they can be pretty close, and I feel like you'll see that with whoever's quick right off the gate. Those drivers typically have prepared a little bit more so than others, but here, like at AMS, you just have to think about all the different possibilities, and that there are some of the same ways that we can prepare. They've scanned this racetrack. All the OEMs have simulators that the drivers can run, the engineers can run through different setups and different configurations of what makes their car, faster, maybe what makes it drive better in dirty air. So a lot of it is who has the best tools and who's made the best educated guesses going into a day like today.
And given how important AMS has been to your career, what are your personal feelings of returning back here this weekend?
Yeah, well, that's exactly why I decided to come back this weekend and race. My wife and I, we were on a ski trip just 24 hours ago in Colorado, so I cut that a little bit short. It's important to be back here and have some fun with my friends and family, and have a lot of great memories here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. With the first repave back in 1997, I can remember, watching the reconfiguration happen, watching this media center and the garages being built. And so I kind of wanted to be back here today and this weekend. I kind of pick and choose a few races that I run throughout the year. And I would have definitely had a fear of missing out, FOMO as they call it, if I wouldn't have been here this weekend. So it's cool to be here at AMS and see kind of the new transition to what the future may look like here.
All right, we'll go over to the right.
Hey, David. Doug
What's up,
Turnbull.
Doug?
What's up, man? For PRN to WSB, I wanted to ask what every driver is getting asked this weekend, and I don't know that I've heard a uniform response, but you're always very insightful, and you've tested the Wheel Force car. What in the world is there a baseline, I guess, for what could be expected?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the cars are going to be wide open all the way around the racetrack. I think the preferred groove will be the bottom lane. But then once you get multiple cars on the track and you get that draft effect where the speeds are picked up, I do think handling's going to come into play some. I do think you're going to be in the throttle a lot. And you're going to have some pack racing to some extent throughout 500 miles. Obviously, the corners are a little tighter radius. The straightaways aren't as long. So that's going to damping some of that drafting effect where you see the 2 and 3 wide racing like we see at some of the super speedways. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixture. I think that just pure raw speed is going to be very important in race cars, but I think we're going to have some long green flag runs. 500 miles here is a long race. And whoever's car handles the best, they don't have to get out of the throttle. I think we will see that second lane open up some. And so, again, that's all of our educated guesses, and everyone's going to be, watching both races today with a lot of great interest. And I know that I'll be, as I go to sleep tonight, I'll be just playing out different scenarios in my mind on, what's going to happen on green flag pit stops and on old tires and strategy, and kind of how that shakes out. So hopefully, we can make some good educated decisions, and that's another reason why I wanted to come and run, just because it's new and it's different, and we'll have to make a lot of decisions on the fly.
All right, we'll go to Jerry Jordan next.
Jerry Jordan Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Hey, Dave. You're a restrictor plate, guy. You've got some experience with that. How are the restrictor plates going to play out here with drafting and things like that on a 1.5-mile track when we're used to those on the larger speedways? And was that the right call to go with the restrictor plate?
Well, I guess we'll ask me that question on Monday, and I'll really be able to give you a little bit more of an insightful answer. I mean, we do know that these new repaves typically have a lot of grip, and they're really fast. And with the other package, we might have been a little faster than what NASCAR was comfortable with. I mean, 20 years ago, Jeff Bodine ran 197 miles an hour here in qualifying. So, things have evolved a lot, and I think that was a good bet that NASCAR and I think Goodyear and Speedway Motorsports all came together and said, hey, I think this is going to be the best package to put on the best show and keep the drivers and the fans safe here. Who knows how that will evolve over the future. But, I mean, I know that there is so much interest, in this race this weekend that they haven't had in years past from people in the industry and the fans. But, the big thing is just how the strategy is going to play out. I mean, typically it's been 4 tires every single time you had a caution here. I think you're going to see a lot of fuel only, a lot of 2 tires, maybe alternating lefts and rights throughout the race. It's just a different animal when you have a new asphalt surface, but then the increased banking is going to change how the cars can pass. And who has is it the guy running 3rd, 4th, or 5th who has that draft effect? Is he going to have the advantage, or the guy out front that can dictate, the lanes that he's running? So those are just all things that we're going to learn at a very fast pace today. And I think the other series are going to race a little different. So whatever you see in the truck race or the Xfinity race, I don't think it's going to mirror exactly what you'll see on Sunday. It may be a combination of that, but I think we're going to be learning from when they drop the green flag here in truck practice in a few minutes.
All right, we'll go to Kelly, and then we'll go to the back.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. David, Rick Ware Racing has taken steps this year with the Yates engine package, the Stewart-Haas Alliance. You're going to be running a bunch of races with this team. What are you seeing just in their, I guess, determination or the process of trying to get better, that company trying to take those steps to get better?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about that. And, smaller teams in the Cup Series, that they have a really hard road in front of them just because the sport's dominated by Hendrick Motorsports and Team Penske and Stewart-Haas Racing and, Joe Gibbs Racing. These teams that are established, they have a foundation, they have manufacturer support, deep pockets financially, they've got great employees, and so it's very hard to come in and establish those roots and grow kind of organically. And you've seen some teams be able to do that, but it just takes a long time, a lot of patience, a lot of hard work. And, I was a part of that a little bit at Front Row Motorsports. And I feel like Rick Ware Racing, just getting to know those guys over the last year and a half, they're kind of on that same path, that they've made the commitment to have 2 charters and 2 full-time cars. That's really important. They've got some really good employees at the race shop, some good employees that travel, starting to build those relationships with the manufacturer, with Ford, with the engine supplier, with Roush Yates Engines. And for me, what drew me to this program was having a chartered car that did not have a full-time driver, that I could kind of pick and choose some races. Joey Hand's going to drive next week at COTA, and he's going to bring some really good experience and valuable insight to their road racing program and the development of the next gen car, I think, for Ford Motor Company as well. So just a combination of those things that I could pop in and run a few races here and there, and I can help them a little bit, but also have some fun. And it's a hard progress, but they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and certainly they're nowhere near where they want to be. But as long as they're making steps in that forward direction, it gives everybody some hope and some confidence that they are making progress.
When you talk about you're here to help, I mean, obviously you bring a lot of experience to a team like that. So how vocal are you, or how much feedback and insight do you anticipate providing them anytime you're in the car? Yeah,
I mean, in the car and out of the car. I mean, obviously here on race weekends, I want to help them and help Cody as a young driver with feedback, and hey, here's some things to think about. Sometimes we'll review film and some of the different data post race, and help him figure out how to get on and off pit road more efficient, in and out of the pit boxes. But sometimes just being here and talking to the team members and giving them encouragement, and showing them some things like, hey, potentially this could could go wrong, or I've had this happen to me before. Let's be on the lookout. Let's be proactive and not let this happen again. So, just some of those things when you have some younger employees that they need to have that confidence, and then just some credibility in the garage with some of the other team members and employees and people here in the media center. Just all those small things that kind of collectively all adds up to helping a team like that kind of build what their identity is and to change the culture a little bit. They were just trying to survive 5 years ago, and now they're trying to build on some top 10s, top 15s, run all the laps, run all the races. So it's small steps, but it's fun to see these teams have that opportunity in the current landscape here in the NASCAR world to build that foundation to survive and to ultimately be able to be a contender at the top level.
Okay, Brad Harris from FrontStretch.com. You've had success at Talladega and Daytona. What does that do for your confidence and comfort level going into this setup now? Yeah,
thanks, Brad. I mean, it's it definitely gives me a little confidence that if this race does play out to where you're drafting a little bit, you kind of make those split-second decisions on what lane you're going to take on restarts, how aggressive you're going to be at the beginning of the race to the end of the race. So there are some stuff like that. And then I think just having the other drivers know that I'm in the race car this weekend, that, they can have some confidence that I'm not going to be, crazy. I don't have anything to prove. I'm not racing for points. I just want to go and have some fun and try to have a shot at the win at the end. So I think a combination of some confidence from my end, but also the other guys on the racetrack, they can work with me some and trust racing around me that I'm not going to get too crazy.
All right, and final question.
Good morning. Good morning. Jason McDonald, Core 360 Sports. Can you elaborate or talk about the impact the COVID and the supply chain has had on what you were talking about for smaller race teams that are trying to break in?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all the teams have had similar effects, and obviously the team owners and competition directors could probably touch on some more specifics, but all the things that we can't get in our ordinary lives, whether it's kitchen appliances or new vehicles or used vehicles are expensive, and all kinds of simple things that we used to take for granted that we could just go and grab isn't readily available. And when you're talking about a complex race car being manufactured that has parts and materials that are supplied from vendors all around the world, not only are some of those raw materials and hardware hard to get, but it's hard to get in a timely fashion. It's been a struggle for the large teams, for the small teams. There were some last-minute rule changes in the fall of last year that I think delayed some of the manufacturers and vendors to get some of their parts and pieces ready. But it's all worked out fine. I think one thing that the teams have been used to building a lot of their own stuff, and they could control their own parts inventory a little better. And now you don't have that comfort of having 15 lower control arms sitting on the part shelf that's ready for you. You had to depend on some other people, so that probably gave some of the teams a little bit of an uneasy feeling. But every race has started with all the cars. They've all showed up on time, and they'll continue to do that. There may be some long hours and a lot of hard work in between races, but they're all going to get it worked out. And I think in another 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be in great shape. Already seeing some other inventory showing up to these shops and cars sitting in the shop. So I think this East Coast swing after COTA will help out a lot.
All right, David, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.